Good evening everyone. Today we are going to discuss about AP ICET exams, and tomorrow we are going to have a discussion on the same topics that we are going to discuss. However, today we are going to discuss about the syllabus first, so that we know what we are going to prepare for. So if you can notice over there, we have a question paper pattern in your ICET exam, and you have 3 sections in your ICET exam. For the first section, you have section A, section B, section C, and in the section A, you have analytical ability, mathematical ability in section B. Section C has communication ability. మీకు మళ్ళీ సెక్షన్ ఏలో అనలిటికల్ అబిలిటీలో యూ హ్యావ్ data sufficiency and problem solving, and beside that you have the total number of questions. So each topic will have different number of questions. Not every topic has the same number of questions. As you can see, data sufficiency has 20 questions, problem solving law 55 questions. And then section B, mathematical ability, arithmetic ability has 35 questions, algebraically and geometric ability has 30 questions, statistical ability 10 questions. Now comes the part that we are going to discuss in detail, that is section C, communication ability. Vocabulary has 10 questions, business and computer terminology has 10 questions, functional grammar 15 questions, reading comprehension 15 questions. So overall they are somewhere around 200 questions, right? And total duration is for 2.5 hours, which means 150 minutes. So the detailed syllabus, if we move on, we have as we discussed in each section, they are in the first section you have data sufficiency and problem solving under analytical ability. So in analytical ability, you have data sufficiency, which is for 20 marks, problem solving 55 marks. So each question has 1 mark, so you get 1 mark per question, and since there are 20 questions in data sufficiency, you get 20 marks for it. And same goes with problem solving, which is 55 marks. Sequences and series, data analysis, coding and decoding problems, date, time and arrangement problems, these are the topics that you will have to prepare for analytical ability. Under mathematical ability, you have 35 questions that you will have to answer for 35 marks, and you will have the topics to learn that are laws of indices, ratio and proportion, surds, numbers and divisibility, LCM and GST, rational numbers, ordering, percentages, profit and loss, partnership, pipes, cisterns, time, distance, work problems, areas and volumes, mensuration, modular arithmetic. So if you are going to learn all these topics, which are somewhere around say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. 15 topics under arithmetical ability, you are going to get 35 marks. Again I repeat, you will have 35 questions, which means 1 question per mark. And algebraical and geometric ability, for this you have 30 marks, 30 questions. Again, statements, truth tables, implication, converse and inverse, tautology sets, relations and functions, applications, equation of a line in different forms, trigonometry, trigonometric ratios, the trigonometric ratios of standard angles, 0 degrees, 30 degrees, 45 degrees, 60 degrees, 90 degrees, 180 degrees. Trigonometrical identities, that is sample problems on heights and distances, polynomials, remainder theorem and consequences, linear equations and expressions, progressions, binomial theorem, matrices, the notion of a limit and derivative, plane geometry, lines, triangles, quadrilaterals, circles, coordinate geometry distance between points. So these are the topics that you will have to learn for algebraical and geometrical ability, which is for 30 marks. Statistical ability, yeah, so this has to do with statistics as the word suggests. It's for 10 marks, and in these 10 marks, for these 10 marks you will have to prepare on certain topics which are frequency distributions, mean, median, mode, standard deviation, correlation, simple problems and probability. Okay, so moving on to the topic that we are going to discuss, as I've said in detail, it is communication ability, and over here the topics that you will have to prepare are vocabulary, business and computer terminology, functional grammar, reading comprehension. So each topic here, like I said, vocabulary 10 marks, business and computer terminology has 10 marks, functional grammar has 15 marks, and reading comprehension has 15 marks. So on the whole you have around about 50 marks for this, which will for which you will have to answer 50 questions. Okay, so today we are going to discuss passage comprehension. Okay, as you are aware of this term, which is passage comprehension. Passage comprehension is nothing but understanding what is within a passage. When you're reading a passage, you are also supposed to understand a passage lo meaning emiti. How are you going to answer those questions? Meaning meeku ardhamaye varaku you cannot answer those questions. So comprehension ante your understanding. Meeru ela understand chestaro the topic, right? So we are going to discuss this in detail. Reading comprehension tips. So ikkada we have few tips on reading comprehension. Reading the passage, underline key information, that is dates, years, numbers, persons, incidents or events. So when you are reading the passage, meer passage read chesinappudu you should underline each detail that is mentioned over there. There are few details that are dates, years, numbers, persons. Like numbers ante if they mentioned there were 20 baskets, so you will underline the 20 baskets part. So if they are persons, they are names of persons. There is certain person named John, certain name Mary. You will underline those names so that you remember that these are the people that the author is talking about. And incidents or events, when you're talking about incidents or events, say certain person went to a bank, okay, he visited a bank, they met with an accident, right? So you're going to underline those incidents or events. Unless you do that, you will not know what exactly is being discussed in that passage. Okay, so making notes, moving on to making notes. Subject of the passage, what is precise. Okay, so every passage has a subject. A subject lo what is precise, what exactly is being talked about by the author is important for you to understand. So you can make notes about what exactly the subject of the passage is, and main idea of the passage, what the author is saying about the subject. So there might be something that is written in there, but the author is telling you some other message. There is a message in the passage, right? So there is a certain idea of the passage. You need to understand what is the idea of the passage. Tone of the author of the passage. Ante is he like angry, kopamlo, is he talking, or is he like happy about something, edana describe chestunnada. So you should understand what is exactly happening as per the tone, which is the manner in which the author is has written the passage and meer chadutunnaru. So when you read it, meeku ardham kavali. You should understand what exactly the author is trying to tell you when you're reading that passage. Okay, so moving on, understanding the structure. When you're understanding the structure, let's see what it is. Gist, it's called a gist. Did you get a gist of it? A phrase you might have heard. So that gist of it and a phrase, it is about you understanding what is the topic, what is the author talking about, evar gurinchi maatladutunnaru. So మీరు అవన్నీ you should understand on the whole. The whole thing is called the gist of it, right? You can tell someone that this is what the author is talking about in one statement. So will be your gist. But over here, to understand what the gist is, gist is a general idea plus the structure and the tone, right? So the general idea is about what is the overall general idea. Structure is the way he has structured it. How did he start it? How is he ending it? What are the details mentioned in between? And tone is, like I mentioned earlier, is he upset about something? Is he happy? Is he explaining something? Or is he just narrating something that he has witnessed? Okay, so it could be various things. This will also help to build a thematic composition, logical consequence, logical sequence of the passage. Okay. All right. So moving on. Instead of reading the entire passage, read critically the first and the last paragraphs. So here, most of the times, if you have bought a book or say even if you're watching a movie at times, you would watch the first few minutes or you would read the first few pages and then maybe want to go back to the end and see what did exactly happen, right? So that way you have an idea about how this author is transitioning that passage, how is it starting and how is it going to end, right? So it is a good practice to read the start and the end. That way you will save a lot of time in understanding what he is getting to. Starting low, he might tell you about something, later tarvata meeku ఇంకేమైనా ట్విస్ట్ ఉండొచ్చు. సో దట్ ట్విస్ట్ పార్ట్ యూ మైట్ రీడ్ ఇన్ ద మిడిల్, బట్ అల్టిమేట్లీ ఇన్ ఎండ్లో ఏమవుతుంది, that part, if you know it in the beginning, it will be much more easier for you, right? Generally what the author is saying can be identified in the first few lines of the passage. For the rest passage, examine quickly what the author has said about the subject. So first few lines of the passage, you might get an idea. So okay, this person is going to talk about a certain cricket match. In this cricket match, what happens is what we are going to learn in the rest of the passage, right? So there might be a lot of details, incidents that happen, certain statistics in there, certain players involved, right? So all these things might be narrated throughout the passage. However, after the passage is done, I mean at the end of the passage, there might be something else, right? So for the rest of the passage, examine quickly what the author has said about the subject. So you have to carefully examine. There might be few details that they are mentioned, which may be as a question when they ask you about what happened in the passage, right? For longer passages, try to put down in 10-15 words for each paragraph what you feel are the central points of the passage. So passages may not be short, they might be very long, they might be short, there is no definitive size of it. So it's a good practice to try to put down in 10 to 15 words for each paragraph. మీకు ఏంటి అంటే ఇంపార్టెంట్, మీకు ఏం ఇంపార్టెంట్ అనిపించింది, వాట్ యూ థింక్ దట్ కుడ్ బి పాసిబిలీ క్వశ్చన్లో రావచ్చు, యూ కెన్ రైట్ దోస్ థింగ్స్ డౌన్ అండ్ బీ ప్రిపేర్డ్ ఫర్ దోస్ క్వశ్చన్స్. ఓకే. Identify the structural words that tell you the important ideas of the transitions in a passage. Okay, so sometimes meeku paragraph lo there will be few words that are mentioned over here, like for example they might be talking about certain thing and later inkoka topic ki move aitunaru. So when they are moving from one topic to another topic, there might be certain words. These words will highlight that our topic continue చేస్తున్నాడా, లేకపోతే is it a comparison of two things, or is it like a contrast. Okay, so the most common structural words are here mentioned, few over here. So if you can see, they are continuity words, contrast words, conclusion words. So continuity means when statement begins, it might start at a certain point and it might move on to something else. So here I've given a simple example of similarity. Okay, similarly, sorry. So he runs fast. Similarly, he also walks fast, right? So that could be something. It could be about the same thing. Similarly, right? Or let's talk about the continuity words on the whole, and then move on to contrast words and conclusion words. Okay. Moreover, have you heard this term, moreover? ఇది ఏదో అవుతుంది, దిస్ ఇస్ సంథింగ్ దట్ ఈస్ హ్యాపెనింగ్, మోర్ ఓవర్ ఇది కూడా అవుతుంది, రైట్? సో ఇట్స్ అన్ అడిషన్, మోర్ ఓవర్. ఓకే, he was late, moreover he did not complete his homework. Okay, so that is somewhere you can use moreover, right? Additionally, everybody knows what is addition, subtraction. I hope your vocabulary is good enough to understand these terms. Subtraction, addition. So the same way you can understand this word, which means additionally. Additionally ante your additionally this is also what happened, or additionally this is what he had received. Okay. In the same way is something which is a common phrase again. So this is again a continuation of the sentence. So it's a thing happened in the same way. So it's a thing also happened. Okay. Likewise. So likewise is a phrase that a term that is used to say that so and so thing is there. Likewise, this is also there. Okay. And contrast words. Contrast words might show a little bit of difference between what you started talking about. Mirela statement, first statement ela undo might be different, but when you're continuing it with the next sentence, or say it is a part of the same sentence also or in the paragraph, means to say there is something different. Here please pay attention, this is not like continuity words, koncham difference undi. Contrast words mean to say I am going to talk about something different. So here you might miss out on what is being conveyed. You might think this is in connection about what was previously told. Chala difference undachu after using these words. So nonetheless, okay, he is a brilliant student. Nonetheless, yeah, you can use this word over here and continue it with something else. Nonetheless, he does not pay, he is not focusing on his studies. Okay. However, ఈ term మీకు చాలా కామన్ గా you might have seen. However is a term that is used when you're talking about something that may be totally different. So and so person is like this. However, this is not what you would expect from that person. Okay. And then but is again something that is a contrast. People say that whatever is said after but might be the truth, and before that may not be the actual truth. And like say for example, you can get the money, but you will have to work hard for it. Okay. So work hard another is more important than what was told before, right? So main thing is to focus on what comes after the but, or after what comes in however or nonetheless. Okay. Although, again this is another word that is used. Although so and so thing, although this is what it was, right? And despite, in spite. So again this follows the same trend. You start with a certain statement, and then when you're moving to the next part of it, you might say despite whatever was said initially, this is what is the outcome. Okay. That is how contrast words work, and like I said earlier, it is very important for you to understand what are contrast words, and please focus a lot on this, because you may not understand what is the meaning of the passage if you don't understand these transition words. Okay. And conclusional words, yeah. So these are few words that start a conclusion. Like if I have told you about A, B and C, and then I tell you that the conclusion is so and so thing at the end, as the word says, it means that you're going to conclude that this is what the outcome of it is, right? So I might start with, again we can take the example of a cricket match. So and so thing happened, the batsman played well, the bowler bowled well, but the conclusion was the fielding was not doing well, so we lost the match. Thus we lost the match, right? Although the batting and the bowling was well, at the end, thus we lost the match. Yeah. So therefore we lost the match, or hence this is the outcome, right? Hence is something that we've also seen in mathematics, right? So we say hence this is what Pythagoras theorem tells us, right? So for you to understand what is the conclusion, you should go by these words. If you see anywhere therefore or hence, you know that is the conclusion. The statement is telling you about the conclusion of that paragraph. in summary, okay. So in summary is like the bottom line. I'm telling you that motam story ki at the end, this is the summary of it, okay. In conclusion, again, conclusion, what we have said, conclusion is the meaning that it is the end, this is the outcome, this is the bottom line of it, right. So in conclusion means the conclusion is so and so thing, okay. Moving on. Yeah, this is another recap of what we have discussed. Continuity words, the author would support his point of view further. Contrast words, the author would introduce a contrarian point of view. Sorry. Conclusion words, the author would sum up his argument so far. So summing up his argument is మొత్తం స్టోరీని ఒక స్టేట్మెంట్లో రాయడం అనేది is his conclusion, okay. Try to recognize the words that represent positive and negative role in the passage. So in every passage meeku positive words untayi, negative words untayi. You will not know which word is correct word ani. I mean meeku idi is it good about this person, is it bad about that person. Me vocabulary and understanding comprehension ni batti you will make a impression about what the author is saying. So you should try to take your time and understand, is that author saying, you know, something good about something, or is he saying something bad about something, correct? So these words will let you decide whether the author is for or against the subject. A few examples of such words are given below, okay. There are few positive words ikkada and negative words kuda unnayi. Meeru chuste ikkada positive words lo efficient, enthusiastic, bright, fortunate, passionate. Negative words lo you have foul, alarming, detrimental, pessimistic, stressful, yeah. So positive words like say evaru gurinchi na manchiga cheptunnarante you will use positive words, right. So if I'm saying efficient, Ina efficient person, John is an efficient person. So meaning to say you should understand the positive word which is efficient. Efficient is not saying that he is a bad person. It is not saying anything negative ana gurinchi. So it is telling you that he is an efficient person. He is a hardworking or like, you know, a useful person, right. And then you have negative words, right. Negative words lo you have foul. Foul means doing something wrong, right. Alarming. So his announcement was alarming. Alarming means it was a sort of disturbance, kada. What is an alarm? Alarm ante it is something that wakes you up. Meeru manchiga when you're sleeping, someone wakes you up, that's an alarm, right. Or like suddenly some change is happening, so it's an alarm, and that is negative most of the time. So alarming is a negative word. That way you should be able to identify the positive and the negative words over here. If you are not able to understand whether this person is saying something good about the characters in the passage or something bad about the certain thing in the passage, you will not be able to answer the question. So it's very important that you understand what is positive and what is negative that is being said in the passage. Moving on. PQ approach, okay. Passage first, then the questions, okay. So this is an approach by which you can answer your questions. First passage gurinchi you will have to focus, and later మీరు questions గురించి ఆలోచించవచ్చు. So read the entire passage thoroughly first and read the questions. Scan through the passage and keep going back and forth with questions and passage. Read the first two paragraphs. Scan all the questions and see what you can answer. Then read para 3 and 4. Scan the questions and see what you can answer. Then para 5 and 6. So here there is a pattern. You will read the first two paragraphs and move on to the questions. మీకు పారాగ్రాఫ్ ఉంటుంది, క్వశ్చన్స్ ఉంటుంది. మీరు పారాగ్రాఫ్స్లో ఫస్ట్ టూ పారాగ్రాఫ్స్ చదివి యూ కెన్ గో అండ్ చెక్ ఇఫ్ దెర్ ఇస్ ఎనీ క్వశ్చన్ రిలేటెడ్ టు ఆ రెండు పారాగ్రాఫ్స్. లేకపోతే యూ కెన్ స్టార్ట్ విత్ the entire thing and you will forget things. Kada? You will not know where this question was mentioned. I mean, where can I find the answer for this question in that paragraph? It is better, it is a way of doing it, so it might help you. You could read the first two paragraphs, go to all the questions, check all the questions. అన్ని క్వశ్చన్స్లో మీకు ఏదైనా రిలవెంట్ ఆన్సర్ ఉంటే you can answer that question. లేకపోతే you can come back and continue with the paragraphs, right? So that is the procedure over here which you can follow. That's called a PQ approach. QP approach. Okay, I'm sure you guessed it. QP approach is like questions first and then the passage, right? So read all the questions with the answer options first and then the passage. This means to say, మీరు ఫస్ట్ క్వశ్చన్స్ అన్ని చదివిన తర్వాత యూ విల్ హ్యావ్ అన్ ఐడియా, నేను ఏం ఆన్సర్ చేయాలి, నాకు ఏం క్వశ్చన్స్ ఉన్నాయి ఇక్కడ, దీస్ ఆర్ ద థింగ్స్ దట్ ఐ హ్యావ్ టు ఆన్సర్. అంటే ఐ కెన్ మేక్ నోట్స్, ఇది is being questioned in my questions. So what I can do is make notes of that question, and once I've made notes of the questions, the topics or the certain details that are being asked in that question, మీకు ఈజీగా ఆన్సర్ ప్యాసేజ్లో దొరుకుతుంది. So that is another way of quickly answering these questions. Instead of reading the entire passage and trying to understand what might be asked in the question, మీరు first questions చదివి then you can go back to the passage. Okay, read all the questions with their answer options first and then the passage. Excuse me. Read question 1 with all the options, then go through the entire passage to answer it. Then read question 2, go through the entire passage, and then answer question 3, sorry. So just read all the question stems without reading the answer options, then read the passage and try answering the questions by reading them with the options. So ila, like I said again earlier, you can read the question 1 and go back and check all the entire passage and see if there is a way of answering this. There is the answer in the first passage or second para or somewhere in there, or you can go back to question number 2. You need not find the answer immediately, but once you start doing it that way, you will definitely be able to answer few questions faster, and you will know that you answered the right, you got the right answer. Okay, let's read all the question steps without reading the answer options, then read the passage and try answering the questions by reading them with options. So make options kuda confuse cheyochu. So read all the question stems without the answer options. Okay, if you read the answer options, you might get confused. So and you might answer the wrong, you might take the wrong answer. So avoid that, and you could just go by the questions, ignore the options. Options are always confusing in there. So this is an example over here. Laws of nature are not commands but statements of acts. The use of the word law in the context is rather unfortunate. Okay, it would be better to speak of uniformities in nature. This would do away with the elementary fallacy that a law implies a lawgiver. If a piece of matter does not obey a law of nature, it is punished. On the contrary, we can say the law has been incorrectly stated. So in this, the author is talking about laws of nature. That is what the gist of it is, right? Okay, so in a piece of matter violates nature's law, it is not punishable because మీకు ఇక్కడ 4 questions options ఉంటాయి, and you need to know that if a piece of matter violates nature's law, it's not punishable because ante what, enduku this statement has been made, enduku ila ee statement author rasaru annadi you need to answer, right? So there enduku rasaru annadi you should understand. You have read the passage already. So the answer is, there is no superior being to enforce the law of nature. However, you might get confused ikkada if you go back to the passage. Okay, you might read it again. and then you will understand that there is no superior being to enforce the law of nature, which is mentioned in the paragraph right at the start. That is why a piece of matter, if a piece of matter violates the nature's law, it is not punished. Okay. Moving on to the next question related to that paragraph. Our paragraph ఏదైతే మనం చదివామో again, laws of nature differ from man-made laws because the former state facts of nature they must obey, they are natural. Unlike human laws, they are systematic. Yeah. So these are 4 things that might be the reason why laws of nature differ from man-made laws, right? Man-made laws ante what are man-made laws? Man-made laws are the laws that we have created, but nature has its own law kada. So when they're talking about nature ikkada, they're talking about natural stuff that happens, like a weather, like a storm. Okay. So if there is why do they differ anadi is the question over here. Differ anadi is they are asking you what is the difference, like the word means difference. What is the difference between laws of nature from man-made laws? Okay. The former state facts of nature, right? Former ante the first thing that is mentioned in that question. The first thing that is mentioned in the question out of both differences that are asked is laws of nature. Okay. So the former is laws of nature, state facts of nature, right? They must be obeyed. You are forced to be obeyed. You are supposed to obey it without an option. Adi like you don't have an option and you have to obey it. Obey ante vinadam. You have to obey ante listening to them. ఏదైతే లా ఉందో మీరు ఫాలో చేయాలి. దట్ ఈస్ ఒబేయింగ్. దే ఆర్ న్యాచురల్. న్యాచురల్ అంటే దే ఆర్ న్యాచురల్, ఇట్ జస్ట్ హ్యాపెన్స్. మీరేం చేయాల్సిన అవసరం లేదు, ఇట్ జస్ట్ న్యాచురల్. And unlike human laws, they are systematic. Okay. Human laws also are systematic, and nature's laws are actually follow nature. So let's see what the answer is over here. Get your guesses. The former state facts of nature. Absolutely kada. So the former anadi first laws of nature. Laws of nature are nothing but nature ki related laws kada. So it is not related to man. Man anadi he has many other things that he does, but nature has various things that impact it, and that is the law of nature. Okay. Laws of nature based on observations are conclusion about the nature of the universe. So here the question is laws of nature. Laws of nature are based on observation are ఇప్పుడు నేచర్లో laws ఉన్నాయి, but it should be based on observation, right? So observation to aim laws unnai anadi is the question. Conclusion about the nature of the universe, true and falsifiable figments of the observer's imagination, subject to change in the light of new facts. So is it a conclusion about the nature of the universe? Yeah. Laws of nature మీరు అబ్జర్వ్ చేసినప్పుడు an observation, what do you feel like? Is it a conclusion about the nature of the universe, true and unfalsifiable figments of the observer's imagination, or subject to change in the light of new facts, right? So this is something that you need to decide based on your understanding when you observe the laws of nature. Again, laws of nature are what? Based on weather conditions, or like say things that nature does by itself. Like say for example there was a bad summer. Ekkadana lot of summer was there, so they did not have water for a lot of time, right? So that is all based on, would it be based on conclusion about the nature of the universe? Would that be based on true and unfalsifiable things, figments of the observer's imagination, or is it subject to the change in the light of new facts? Let's see what the answer is. It's subject to change in the light of new facts. So ఇక్కడ ఏంటంటే this question gives you like 4 options here, and it should be based on your understanding of that passage or your view of laws of nature. So it is subject to change in the light of new facts. ఇలా మీకు క్వశ్చన్స్ చాలా ట్రికీగా ఉంటాయి. సో వీ విల్ డిస్కస్ దిస్ ఫర్దర్ ఇన్ అవర్ నెక్స్ట్ సెషన్ విచ్ విల్ హ్యాపెన్ టుమారో. లెట్స్ క్విక్లీ డూ వన్ మోర్ క్వశ్చన్ అండ్ వీ విల్ కాల్ ఇట్ అ డే. రేపు మళ్ళీ వీ విల్ కంటిన్యూ విత్ దిస్ అండ్ వీ విల్ టాక్ అబౌట్ హౌ టు అండర్స్టాండ్ passages and how to answer those questions. Last question kelli sir. Okay. The author is not happy with word law because ikkada we are trying to understand, right? We spoke about understanding the tone of the author. So the tone of the author in this paragraph is about him being unhappy about the word law being used, kada. So if you're using law in this to compare things, to talk about things, he says it is wrong, right? So it connotes rigidly and harshness. It implies an agency which has made them. It does not convey the sense of nature's uniformity. It gives rise to false benefits. So మీరు మళ్ళీ పారాగ్రాఫ్ దగ్గరికి వెళ్తే you can understand that he has a certain reason which is mentioned in the paragraph for which he is not happy about using the word law. Okay. My guess is it connotes rigidity and harshness, right? So it is talking about law ante it is rigid kada, you cannot change the law. So it is talking about lot of negative things, like it is rigid and it is very harsh. So that is why he is unhappy with people using this term called law of nature. Okay, so that's it for me guys today. We can talk about this further. I hope you have got an idea about how this whole paragraph reading and comprehension works. So try to read more and try to understand whatever you're reading and see if you are able to understand. Meeku enta simplify cheyalo, it depends on understanding these key things like we have discussed earlier. I'll give you a recap of whatever we've discussed. We've discussed about words that will help you understand whether it's a contrast or it's a conclusion or it's a continuity. We've also discussed about patterns, how to approach this whole passage reading thing. It could start with reading the passage and answering the questions, or you could go by the questions first and check for the answers in the passage. And also you need to make notes of few things and underline whatever you think is important. Okay, thank you guys, take care.